You're now listening to the show about the shit in life that's just a bit too much, from the perspective of stand-up comics. With our hosts, Carmelo Bongiovi and Ken Krantz. This week's topic, the Skibidi episode. This is A Bit Too Much.
So your stepdaughter's in college now.
My stepdaughter is in her freshman year at Rutgers. And
I remember you telling me leading up to that, like, this is a stressful moment for us right now. Like, we're sending her off to college. It's the first one of the stepkids, right, going away.
Yeah.
And I remember it being like stressful because it's, especially from the point of view of your wife who's like, that's my baby going to college, right? Like, so a big moment for your family.
Yes.
Sending daughter off to college, but now comes home for visits?
She comes home periodically, but she's coming. My wife's birthday is this weekend, so she's coming home this weekend. But I'm asking my wife, like, hey, Saturday night, do you want to go out? Do you want to have a date night? Just me and you. I'll take you out for your birthday. And she was like, well, Emmy's coming home. And I was like, okay, but
yeah, you haven't answered my question.
Yeah, I was like, okay, but do you want to? And by the way, she's coming home in an Uber. You know what? It's not like she's getting on a plane and flying across the country.
Right.
It's like we're gonna send an
Uber.
She's at
Rutgers, right?
We're gonna send an Uber for her at 4, and at 5 she's gonna be home.
Right. This is some people that just a commute to work.
Yeah.
So
I was like, okay, but do you want to go out to dinner? And she was like, but Emmy's coming home.
Yeah.
And then we were just like at an impasse, and
you just both kept on saying the same thing.
Yeah, so I was
she's coming home, but I want to go to dinner.
I was like, yeah, I know, but do you want me to take you out for a date? And she was like, but Emmy's coming home. And then we were just both kind of looking at each other. I think
you're both baffled at this point.
Yeah, we're both looking at each other like, what's going on here? And then I just see like my wife figured it out first. Like
that's
I just saw,
Not surprising that the lawyer
not surprising
figured it out before Ken Krantz.
Not surprising that the lady with a doctorate figured it out before the pothead.
Right. So her light bulb turned on, and I was just staring at the space. I actually was thinking about 1984. It was a great year for movies.
But I think she realized what was happening first, and then she said, she said, I think I understand what's happening here. And I said, what? She said, you can't wrap your mind around that Emmy is coming home to spend time with us.
Right.
And then I was like, oh, no, that didn't even occur to me. I used to come home from college. Right. I went to Penn State, but my first 2 years was a satellite campus. So I was in the Poconos. So I was only an hour and a half from home.
They had college campuses in the Poconos.
In Penn State, Wilkes-Barre. Yeah. They've got satellite campuses all across that state. And then if you're not smart enough to get in the main campus, you go to the satellite campus for a couple years. Then they automatically
Walmart
send
brand,
you.
Yeah.
Right. So I would come home on weekends. But I would come home on weekends that I knew my parents weren't home.
Right.
Like there was
you're coming home was to hang out with your friends.
Right. Yeah. I was coming home to hang out with my now wife. I would be like, oh, my parents aren't home. We could party all weekend.
Sure. Yeah.
And she just had this realization that it didn't even occur to me. I cannot.
Well, your daughter's young.
My daughter's 8.
Yeah. So, you haven't dealt with that yet, like college or of the age where it's like partying and then coming home. Like, you're not there yet as a parent. Yeah.
No. And I can only relate to myself. I can only relate it back to what I did. And this idea of wanting to be around your parents was.
At what, 18, 19?
Yes, 18 is so foreign to me.
Yeah.
I would just be like, hey, oh, you're going away again this weekend? Oh, such bad luck. I'm coming home. Can you leave me car keys?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm going to miss you. Yeah, you planned it. Right. And so do you think that is a generational difference? Do you think it's a gender difference?
I think
what do you think?
I think it's a generational difference. I really think Gen X, I really just think we were like the fly under the radar, mind your own fucking business.
Yeah.
Draw no attention to yourself, draw as little attention as possible.
Right, because whatever I'm doing, my parents can't know.
Right.
They don't want to know, first of all.
I think I've said it on the show.
Secondly, they shouldn't know because it's horrible.
I think I've said it on the show before. I used to lie to my parents about shit I didn't even need to lie about.
Yeah, for sure. Your whole existence is fake with your parents at that age. Yeah. That's how we grew up. Yeah.
Yeah, because listen, I felt like I don't even think I knew what they did for a living until I was, you know what I mean? Like until I was 12 or something. Like their lives are none of my business. I would like my life to be none of their business. And
it does sound better. I'm hearing you say that and I'm like, there's no other way I would have lived my childhood. There was no way I would have just come home and when they said, how was your day? I made it up every time they asked me. I never was like, well, listen to what happened today. First, we snuck out and smoked pot in the fucking woods.
Yeah.
Then I got in trouble for forgetting my homework. When we were in the cafeteria, Mike got punched in the face? Like, none of that shit. Like, it was all horrible things. Like maybe you would take the one nugget of truth of like something positive that happened. You'd be like, I learned whatever. I mean, it like barely would even come up. The real substance would even come up.
I once fake took my SATs. So I had taken them once. This may come as a shock. I didn't do great. I did okay.
You didn't ace them? You weren't like UCLA was?
No.
You weren't going to Yale?
No. There was no academic recruiting of me whatsoever.
Or any kind of recruiting.
There was.
The mechanic wasn't recruiting me.
The Army. Like even the Army was like, I think we're good. Right. So I was supposed to take the SATs a second time to try and bring my score up.
Right.
I had an SAT tutor that I went to every week. And my mom kept saying, did you pay for the SATs? And I was like, yeah, but I didn't. I thought I can show up that day and pay for the SATs.
So what'd you do? You shut up?
I show up at school, I think with cash and not even like...
You thought you could just buy it?
Yeah,
like you're at a gas station?
And they were like, yeah, you never paid. You can't go in there and take. And I was like, no, I have money. And they were like, that's not how this works.
Yeah, you have to register.
Yes,
to take it.
yes.
Yeah.
I never registered. I don't even remember if my mom gave me a check. I just never registered.
So then you told your parents you took it?
So they were like, you can't take the SATs. And there was a payphone at the high school outside. I went out and I called my wife.
Yeah.
And I was like, listen, I'm supposed to be taking the SATs. They're not letting me take them. Can you come pick me up and we'll just hang out?
Yeah.
And she was like, she couldn't get the car. She was like, no, I can't come. And I was like, I didn't know what to do. Now, what I should have done was just gone home and been like, hey, I fucked up. I'm going to have to register for the next round because I didn't, I should have just thrown myself on the sword. You should have just
said that. But also, should you have, like, I'm putting myself back in that teenage mentality. It's like, just getting in trouble or getting yelled at just felt like the worst possible outcome. Right? Didn't that feel like the worst thing that could have happened? Your whole teenage life is you avoiding the fucking talks from your parents and the lectures.
I just wanted to have as few conversations with my parents as humanly possible.
Right. So, like, what'd you do? And you're like, I took the SAT.
So, I came home. I waited. I hung out at the high school until it let out.
I mean, you SAT.
Yeah.
you just sat there, right? You just fucking...
I was like, I took the SATs, Mom.
Like, how's today? SAT. I just was was in this... I just was...
listen to how far, like, however far you think this story might go, you have no idea. Okay.
Okay.
So I come home and my mom's like, how do you think you did? I was like, I think I did pretty good. You know,
got a good day.
So that's the end of it for a couple months.
Okay.
Until, you know, because you used to get your results in the mail.
Sure.
And then my mom would be like, hey, when are the SAT results coming?
You're like, now you're paying attention?
Yeah. And I would be like, I don't know. Like, what am I, the post office? Like, I don't know. And
Dick.
my wife,
post office?
my wife still talks about it. Because my wife was the only one in the world that knew I didn't take them.
Oh, right. She knew in the moment. Right.
So she still laughs about it because we would be at my house and my mom would be like, do you know why the SAT results? And I'd be like, Mom, I don't know. Like, what do you want from me? I don't know. I took them.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're
must
coming.
have lost it.
Maybe tomorrow. You know, maybe tomorrow's the day. And my wife just
That's another thing about being a teenager. You're always just buying another minute of...
Just another day. Like, oh, if I can put this off till Wednesday, I'm fine.
Yeah.
You know, and then
I'll deal with
Wednesday
it then.
shows up and
I'll
you're
deal
like,
with it on
shit,
Wednesday.
I didn't think Wednesday was going to show up.
And then on Wednesday, you find another reason to buy your time till Friday.
So my mom starts getting concerned because she hears from other parents, oh, yeah, you know, like Josh got his 2 weeks ago.
So now that she knows they're coming in.
She pulls me into her bedroom one day and says, I'm really nervous. I don't understand what's happening with your SAT results. Now is the time. I'm going to give you amnesty. If something weird is going on, now is the time to come clean. And I was just like, Mom, I don't know what to tell you.
You were not going to break. She hadn't gotten to the point of the interrogation where she was pulling your fingernails out yet. Like that was not going to break you. You were a seasoned liar.
Yep.
You've been in relation to this, you've been a POW before. You know the tactics. You know they're going to try to trick you before they start waterboarding you.
I am not falling for this amnesty horse shit.
Yeah,
what do you
think?
I
know what amnesty means. You're going to fucking Guantanamo.
This isn't my first fake SATs, you know?
Yeah, I've been doing some version of this for years.
Finally, my mom hands me the phone one night. She says, I have an investigator from the SAT boards on the phone. And
the SAT boards have investigators?
The company, she called somebody at the SATs and got them on the phone. Mm-hmm. And they were like, yeah, we don't have any record. And then I get on the phone.
We just see that shitty 900 score where you spelled his name wrong.
I'm pretty sure 900's what I got on the first one. Or maybe it was 1,000.
Dude, you get like most of those points for spelling your name right.
Yeah. I think I may have fucked that up. I get on the phone with the investigator.
Ken Katz.
I get on the phone with the investigator. And now he's like, we can't find you in the system. And I'm like, well, you got to keep looking. I don't know what you guys did over there.
You can always tell what someone's like.
You
can tell what someone's like when they start getting aggressive against you. You're like, I don't know what the fuck you guys did, you idiots.
The entire house behind me is on fire, you know, in flames. And I'm just like, there's no fire. I don't know. Like, you guys.
Deny.
Just deny. And then finally he says, name some other kids that were in your testing room.
Ooh.
And now I'm like, oh, fuck.
And
now I'm like, oh, this fucking guy. And then I'm thinking to myself, they probably do it alphabetically. So I just start spouting out K names. I'm like, Matt Klein, Rich Klein. I think I saw Mike Koifman there.
I think I saw a Koifman. I think there's a Koifman.
These are all real people, by the way. And then this guy was like, there was no, like, they were in different.
Yeah.
And then finally I was like, all right, I guess I got to confess.
And then you did it. And then you finally.
And then I was like, all right, man. I was like, I got to go talk to my mom, you know, and I hung up on him and I was like, all right, Mom, here's what really happened. And the look of disgust and disappointment is just one I'll never forget.
Because she gave you a moment to confess, too.
Do you know what she made me do? She made me get on the phone with my SAT tutor and tell her what happened because she kept asking.
She wanted to shame you a little bit more.
Yeah. So I had to call this lady and tell her. And very funny postscript to this story. What are we? It's like we're towards the end of October. Mm-hmm. A month from now. I never spoke to that SAT tutor again. But she was like a friend of a family friend.
Right.
That's how my mom found her. So fast forward a month from now, in November, I'm going to this family friend's wedding. My old SAT tutor's going to be there.
Oh, shit.
It's going to be, I have no contact with her. And I'm thinking of like, do I ask her, like, do you remember that the kid who fake took his and she has to, right? Like nobody, how many fake?
Times
Yeah.
And you saw her.
No. This is like a month from now.
The
wedding's coming. I'm going to see her in about a month.
Like,
No. This is now 30 years later.
Oh wow! So you're going to see
when my family friend told me, "Oh, your SAT tutor is going to be at my wedding." I was like, "Holy shit, she's still alive!" Like I didn't. You know how old everyone seems when you were kids.
Oh, right. Well, I mean, she's got to be.
She was probably my age now back then.
Right.
So, like, of course she's still alive.
She's still alive. But she, you think she'll remember?
I'm going to ask. I think I am going to go up and ask because I got to think I made an impression.
She's going to come up to you and be like, you were the one. And you were like, no, I'm telling you, Koifman. Fucking Klein and Koifman, that law firm. They have a law firm now, Klein and Koifman. I mean, I wouldn't advise the KKK thing, but you know, they're all Jews. It's like no one thinks that. And this is all to say, by the way, that this is who you are as a kid. Well, go ahead.
I also fake graduated from college once.
How do you do it? You know, this is like, honestly, I gotta say, this is 80s sitcom hijinks level shit.
Yeah.
Like, this is like things that don't really happen to people. You were pulling off fucking like sitcom heists.
Yeah.
You know, this is like, or 90s. Like, this is like a Saved by the Bell plot. In fact, I think that was a Saved by the Bell plot.
I fake graduated from college. I dropped out of Penn State.
Yeah.
My third year. It was
their satellite office.
No. I made it to the main campus.
You made it.
It's when I made it to the main campus that I got in trouble. Because then it was like I was just partying I went to the small campus and I was in classes with like 20 other kids and they took attendance and the teachers knew you, I held myself accountable. And I learned better in small groups. Actually, those first 2 years at Penn State when I was in the satellite campus, I got better grades than I ever got in my life. And then I go to the main campus. Now you're in a class with 900 people and they don't take attendance. I'm like, wait, why would anybody show up? If they're not checking for you, why would anybody show up?
Go to college?
Yeah, there's not a thought process that like, that's how you learn and pass. And
yeah.
I'm just like, these fucking idiots are going to class and they don't even take attendance.
No, I'm with you. When I was in college, I drove from Queens to Suffolk County. It was like an hour and 15. And I would do the ride and sometimes get all the way there and be like, I'd rather have lunch than go to this class. I would drive all the way fucking out there and then just not go to class sometimes.
So,
because you have the freedom more so than you ever had before in your life, like high school.
Yes. Yeah.
To just not go to class.
Yep. All the decisions you made were your own.
Yeah. If you're built like us, you take advantage of those things.
Yes.
Yeah. You're not really thinking like, oh, this is a bad.
And let this be a lesson to universities. Take attendance because there's fucking idiot kids like me out
Especially
there.
These days, you could probably do a mobile check-in. Mm-hmm. There's probably a very easy, I mean, maybe they are doing it. Maybe we just don't know. There's got to be a digital check-in that kids could do from their phones that'll be much easier where it actually would work.
So
Then again, it's on you. You're paying the tuition. They don't give a shit probably if you're there.
I drop out. I felt bad. Like I went to my dad and was like, I think I'm just wasting your money and I'm sorry. And it was probably the most adult decision I'd made at that point.
Right.
I took like a semester or two off and then I'm like, I'm going to go back. I want to get a degree. And I go to Kane University, which is in North Jersey.
Okay.
Similar setup to the Poconos, where they were tiny classes.
Small, yeah.
And I went back. I was getting good grades. Comes time to graduate, and somehow I fucked something up. I was 3 credits shy of my diploma.
Okay.
And I went and I hadn't realized it. And I went to sit down with an advisor, and they said, you can take the class over the summer. You can walk with your class. You can walk with your class when everybody walks.
Right, and then just
finish up the 3 credits over the summer. We'll mail you your diploma. So I'm like, great. And I walk. There's a family party for me. I'm the first of my siblings to graduate college, even though I hadn't graduated college.
Quasi, yeah.
The optics were that I was the first.
You appeared to be the first.
But what happened over the summer is...
You didn't go.
I was like, I started looking for a job.
Mm-hmm.
I get a job. We talked about it on an earlier episode. I get a job with John Hancock.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, why the fuck am I going to
I don't even need
finish?
this.
Yeah, I was like, I don't even need this. I got a job. And
it's such a fucking young guy thing to think.
Yeah.
It's like, there's only 3 more credits. You could have just done it.
I'm like, this will never come back to bite me in the ass, you know? And then fast forward a decade, maybe, and I'm no longer with John Hancock, but I'm applying for a job at another company, like another insurance company. And they ask me, did you graduate college? I'm like, yeah, BA communications. Yeah. And I don't think anything of it. Honestly, I don't even think I remembered that I didn't. And they checked, and they came back and were like, you didn't graduate. And I had to go. I had to go to night school. I did. So I did.
And now
end
you're
up,
like 30.
Yeah. I'm in my. So I do now. I have a diploma. Like I did graduate. I faked it for a decade.
Yeah. No, you didn't graduate.
Well, I went back in my 30s and did it.
Okay,
I went back.
So you've since graduated.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
But I have both. I've both faked the SATs and a college graduation.
And I never really understood anyone who took pride in their school work. Like when I hated school so much that anytime I saw good students that were eager to learn and they took pride in it.
Yeah.
I just was like, who are you? Right. And it's like, and I would go on to do okay for myself. It was school. It wasn't work.
Yeah.
It wasn't a work ethic. But, I feel like I had these years of feeling like a fucking idiot because I felt dumb because I was like, I know I don't want to learn and I don't want to be in school. And as a result of not doing good in school. So I actually thought it was like, oh, I'm unintelligent.
Yeah.
But it actually was more just probably like an ADD thing. And I'm only going to care about the things I care about. And those things I will excel. But it's like, I got to find those things. And I didn't know, because I had immigrant parents. Nobody was like, find your passion in life. They were like, get a fucking job, throw out garbage, you idiot. Like I came from another country and did whatever the fuck I could to survive. I went to bed hungry for years. Like just go get a job, So there was no one telling me that. And understanding that I was kind of a weird kid and I needed one of those things. So to me, people who did well in school didn't even make sense to me.
Didn't make sense to me. You'd make fun of them and they all did so much better than me.
It turns out if you work hard and go to school, it can pay off in the long run. But, so this is all going to say, by the way, because what we're talking about is That's the kid you were. That's very much the kid I was too.
Yeah.
And like you look at like, and then like avoid your parents, lie to them, all this stuff. And your stepdaughter's coming home and she's actually going to be spending time or wants to spend time with you guys.
Yeah.
And it was mind blowing to you. I think so you think it's a generational difference? I
think it's a generational thing. I remember.
Well, you think people want to hang out with their parents more? Is that the generation of the or are they just better?
I think
just better humans. I don't know.
Listen, no. I think I got nieces and nephews that are like this, that are like homebodies, and it's like, you're 15. Like, what are you doing?
To be fair, when we were 15, we did not have what they have in their phones and at their disposal. I think it's kind of built some homebodies because they're connected at home.
Yeah,
they're not looking at you. Maybe like they're with you, but they're on their phones. You know what I mean? Maybe they're hanging out. Maybe they're spending more quality time with their families than we did, but they're kind of also, they're like still socializing or connecting with others while they're in your home. You know, so I think that might also be the difference. Like we talked about it once before, but it's like, we had AOL and it was a whole like everyone in the house knew when you signed on because the whole fucking house would make noise.
Yeah.
When you were signing on to AOL, and no one could use the phone. You know, it was everyone knew you were on. Like now, you could just look like somebody's just fucking scrolling through their camera roll or whatever, but they could be on TikTok and they could be, and it's created such a different generation of kids in so many fucking ways. Homebody, I think, is one of the things.
I last year, I did a weekend in Florida.
Sorry.
And my wife came with me. Mm-hmm. We made like a working vacation out of it. We took about 5 days and went. And I remember when we told her girls, like, hey, we're going to Florida in a month. They were so upset.
Like,
and again, I'm just...
You're taking my mom away.
I know. I'm not saying they're wrong. Yeah. I'm just saying I can't relate to it. Yeah. It doesn't even make sense to me. They were like, what? What? Where are you taking her? Why? You're going to be gone for 5 days?
You know the difference is they were raised by their mom. We were raised by our mom's TVs. That's the fucking difference. Is like parents watch their kids now.
If my parents had sat me down when I was in high school and said, we're going to go to Florida for a week next month, I would have been like, next month? Like, why?
Go now.
What? Yeah. Like, why?
Yeah. And the mental checklist of all the things you can do while they're gone and start right away. It's all automatically, what parties can I throw? What junk food can I eat?
Yep.
Like, you know, like you just need them maybe you need them to leave some money for you.
Yep.
But
I could smoke weed in the house for a week instead of blowing it out or climbing onto the roof and doing it.
Right. It automatically goes like, what kind of mischief?
Yeah.
But you know, the generational difference is, it's so deep too, because like I talk about this with my wife all the time. Because they're also home more and they're on their phones more. And they also know, I'm not saying they are necessarily smarter, but they know about things that we had to learn so differently. For example, even something as simple as like clothes to wear, fashion. I feel there's all these like kids on there going like in these like cool outfits and doing makeup tutorials and fucking hair things and style. Like there's all this shit going on that you're like learning on your phone as a kid right now. That like, do you remember just like going to school, taking a gamble on an outfit? Like you're just like, oh, these jeans might get me punched in the face. This fucking goofy ass shirt that my mom bought me. I don't know. I'm 10. I don't know if it's cool, but someone's going to fucking let me know. I bet the second I get to school and someone's like, hey, you fucking jerk.
You dress like a dickhead. What's your problem?
Idiot. Yeah. They probably called you gay and they were like fucking, and then they like ripped your shirt pocket. You know, you got bullied over things. And I feel like, because my wife was saying like, she was like, I feel like kids just, even though they're like some of the styles have come back around, she's like, I feel like they dress so much cooler and they look so much more effortless in their fashion than we did. And I'm like, yeah, but we didn't have anyone telling us what to do. We had our parents who were not going to ever be the barometer of cool. They've got each other online to tell each other.
But I think they also like somewhere after our generation, they figured out, let's just shrink adult clothes. for kids.
Yeah.
And dress them normal. You know, like when we were in school, it was like like there's pictures of me. I got old photo albums when I was a little kid, 5, 6. I'm dressed like a sheriff for no reason. Like that's just my, there's pictures. I don't go, but there's pictures of my brother in a little sailor's outfit. And it's like, it wasn't Halloween.
Yeah.
It was just like, that's how you took us to the store.
Yeah. You're like, what the fuck?
Like, of course we're going to get bullied.
Marching these little fucking village people into this fucking store. What the fuck are you doing? What are you doing? Yeah. But like, so that's true. There were definitely like things you did to kids. My I have the like immigrant parents. They also put me in like, I looked like I got off the boat. Every once in a while I'd be wearing a little hat.
Like a Chef Boyardee hat?
Yeah. Like one of those little fucking flat brim fucking straw hats with like the black band on it, and I got suspenders on and a white button down. I'm like,
I picture you
I'm like I haven't about it.
Marlon Brando at the end of The Godfather when he dies in the orange.
With the orange, yeah, exactly. So shit like that, and the haircuts and all this shit, because before you're making your own decisions, your parents are deciding all these things for you. It's still true, but these kids now could be like, no, Mom, I want this. I want these like high-rise jeans, or I want these. They know what fashion is already.
Yeah.
But they also know, like lingo, we had to learn everything by getting it wrong and getting made fun of. Right?
Yes.
Like everything came at a cost. Every time we took a risk and opened our fucking mouths, somebody would tell you you're wrong and stupid and laugh at you, and then you learned, and then you never did that thing again.
Yeah.
The fashion lingo, like the lingo that just every generation has their own sort of like, like slang words and lingo. You had to learn all that by saying the wrong thing, and then someone's like, you don't say that. But I mean, now there's like, you could find a trend of lingo.
Yeah.
And I feel so old because I look at like the things they use on like TikTok and stuff now, and I'm sure our parents thought this about the shit we said. I'm sure that our parents thought this about when you said something was dope or something was fat. Remember fat, the PHAT? I'm sure any of those terms, calling someone a tool, like I'm sure any of those terms our parents looked at like this, but now I look at like I guess it's like the crazy thing to me is it's like it's internet lingo. It's not spoken lingo. It's like saying someone's unalived. Those words.
Is that the dumbest fucking term you've ever heard in your life?
Yeah, and the reason why they use it is because
it like the algorithm.
Yeah, it's because they like TikTok will like suppress your video if it's like murder, if you use the word murder.
Yeah.
So there's a reason for it, but because it becomes part of the vernacular, that's actually the words they're using in there. You got kids saying things like rizz. What, I don't know what rizz means, but rizz is a word they use.
It's charisma.
Oh, really?
So if you,
I'm annoyed that you know this and I don't.
I jumped. I jumped the line.
Like he knows.
I jumped the line because I got stepkids.
My kid's not old enough to know the lingo yet.
I just inherited, teenagers. So
true.
Rizz is charisma. Skibidi is bad.
What's funny is charisma sounds like a goofy word to use, so shorten it to Rizz is one thing. But skibidi sounds like something if I used as a kid, I would have got punched in the face for. Skibidi is bad?
If my daughter felt comfortable punching me in the face for using it, she would, because she gets so embarrassed. Like we'll go to a drive-through.
Yeah, use it in a sentence. I need to know.
We'll go to a drive-through, and I
feel
do
like
it.
He's gonna get it wrong, too. No way he's gonna.
I do it just to embarrass her.
Do you use it right? Do you know that you're using it correctly?
Yeah. I believe I am.
There's no way for me to fact check you because I don't fucking know. I never even heard of Skibidi before you just said it.
We'll go to the drive-through, and I'll be like, can 6-piece chicken McNugget Happy Meal, and then I'll be like, hey, those nuggets aren't Skibidi today, right? You're going to give me the good ones? And then my daughter's just in the back like, Dad, what are you doing?
I feel like that is that correct, though. I don't know why. Maybe just because I'm looking at you, I'm like, there's no way you're using this right. I just want to, I assume you're not using it right. Are kids going like, don't make that Skibidi?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think.
I hear.
I just learned the word, and I'm already feeling like you're using it wrong.
I know I probably am, but it gets them so angry.
Oh yeah, of course. Hearing your parent use your generation slang words is always.
Do you know bussin'?
Yes, that one I know.
Yeah,
I know that one because I watch a lot of food videos. Because it's like my whole algorithm is food, and so I know that a lot of times people will with these fucking. There's another generational thing, like the fucking ASMR factor. Do you watch? Do you ever watch like food videos? I know you're not as obsessed with food as I am, but like I watch a lot of cooking videos, and most of them are like the sort of like overhead, just quick cut food recipe type things. And I'm like, good, I know how to make that now. I could go make that. But sometimes it's somebody eating the thing, especially if it's like a review of like it's a bunch of people, it's a bunch of like kids who just do food reviews in their cars. Like I got Popeyes today. I'm trying the new spicy chicken, and they're just like eating Popeyes in the car. But they have these really good microphones, so you just hear every goddamn smushy, mushy, juicy crunch and like mouth smack, and it's appealing to people. I'm like, I'm sorry, I come from a generation of if you chewed like that in front of me, you're getting punched in the dick.
Yeah,
you're gonna choke on your fucking Popeyes chicken because ew. What the fuck are you doing? And there's just like millions of people, and they're commenting like, "Oh, that crunch is so satisfying." I'm like, you don't want to throw up right now, hearing this?
Yeah, I think that's generational.
So because I watch that, you do hear like, "Oh, this, this chicken sandwich is bussin'." That's how I learned bussin'.
Yeah, I remember when we were kids. What did I get skibidi wrong?
Skibidi. So we're getting the word skibidi is a slang adjective for bad.
Yeah.
Right. You got that Skibidi Ohio reading level, aka that person can't read well.
See? So I don't want the Skibidi McNuggets today. Give me the fresh one.
But I feel like that what I just read versus what you said was that you were like, make sure these nuggets are in Skibidi.
My daughter gets so mad.
You're like it's and thank you, Chris. The way he just brought that in was like it's an adjective.
Yeah.
It's not just like you used it as a noun, right?
No. I was saying, I guess don't give me the bad. Skibidi. Yeah, I don't want the shitty
right,
batch.
Yeah, I still don't. It just doesn't sound right.
I remember when we were kids, the movie Airplane had come out, and it was so popular. And there's that famous scene where the black guys jive talking, and then the stewardess is
sure.
Like, oh, I speak jive. Stewardess, I speak jive.
Yeah.
We all. I grew up in a house, 5 kids, I'm the youngest of 5, and we were all obsessed with that movie.
Yeah, of course.
And we were all could not stop talking jive to each other.
Right.
And it was going on for weeks, and I just remember being at the dinner table, and we were all the kids were just jive talking back and forth.
Right.
And my mom finally like slammed her fist on the table and was like, there will be no more jive talk at this table.
There will be no more jive.
40-something years later, all of my siblings we still quote that to each other.
Well, you know what? You bring up an interesting point is that before the internet, any kind of like slang or nickname type word, like any of those like words that are like of a generation, were never created by white people. Right? Those words were always created by cooler people of color.
Anything cool ever been created by white people?
No, but now on the internet, it's not a cultural thing anymore. It's a blanket internet thing. You don't even know where they start anymore. Right? And you can't draw the word back to like, oh, this started in Harlem. Like that used to happen with words. Like this was a word to describe hip hop in the 80s and it became this and it became this and it became this. Where now it's just like, there's just these internet words. And everyone uses them, and it's not a cultural thing anymore. Forever, any term, like white started "gosh darn it," and white started words that were not cool. That like if you brought them up, you got made fun of.
Dag nabbit.
Right? Yeah, like whites make up words too.
Do you know what I think about? That's kind of like in the same vein, like. Those old-timey insults that were definitely created by white people. Like, why don't you take a long walk off a short pier?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember some other ones. Like, why don't you go play in traffic?
Yeah.
Somebody, and I bet it was a black dude, somebody at some point had to be the very first person to be like, why don't you go fuck your mother?
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
And then people had to be, oh my, like, that had to have felt so shocking, but then somebody had to have been like, oh, I like that.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's better than the walking off the pier. I'm gonna use that.
Yeah.
But somebody had to be the first guy.
Because you say take a long walk off a short pier, and someone's like, there's not even a pier near here. But I got a mom. Please don't fuck her. You know? Like, but yeah, there's a
why don't you go spit in your hat? Like, what?
Yeah. Like,
now I gotta buy a hat?
Like, you know, scram, go kick rocks.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
those things, right? Like, that's all white people shit, and no one ever thought it was cool. Even the people saying it were like, like, I don't know what another word to use, but like, I'm going to say kick rocks, and I feel stupid even saying this. Where then, like, there were cooler people saying cooler shit and coming up with slang words, but that is not the case anymore. There's not necessarily, like, I think things still pop up in like hip hop and stuff, but like, you know, like WAP.
Yeah,
is a thing, right? Like, but those are just like funny little things. Those are not like necessarily the common vernacular now is internet created. It is so it is no longer. It has become like race neutral, I guess, or culturally neutral, because it's not even about that. It's like about. I don't know if it's because like these are like Skibidi. That's got to be that's only a word that could have been come up with because you're only writing it and not saying it.
Yeah,
and now kids are saying it, right? Because they read it enough and they bring it home. I mean, rizz, like, is a word that I have heard so many times. Now, I guess I never bothered to just Google what it meant.
I only learned it because when I first brought my my current wife around again, you know, like when I first started telling my family, like, hey, we're dating again, and I started bringing her around. My nephew, you know, is 15, never met her. Like, you know, he didn't know who she was or that we have a history. And he was asking how we met. And I said, I was at the library, and we bumped into, like, we kind of locked eyes.
Yeah.
And I went up and started talking to her, and I asked her for her phone number that night.
Right.
And he was just like, oh, Uncle Kenny, you got that rizz. And then I was like, I do. And I had no idea. You know, like, I didn't want to tell. I don't want to be like,
he
what
just
does that
mispronounced jizz.
So then I had to go ask his twin sister, like, later, like, hey, what does rizz mean?
You were too embarrassed to ask him to check it.
He was like, Uncle Kenny, you got that rizz. And I was like, that's right.
Yeah, brother.
Yeah, I do have that rizz. And I had no idea what rizz was. I had to go ask another kid.
Yeah, and then they were like, the fact that he even asked me that was so Skibidi. You know, it's just
See, you're getting the hang of it.
I'm sure I'm using it wrong too. What the fuck is the lingo going to be when my kid is old? Because I feel like it changes so quickly now.
Yeah.
My kid's 3. I feel like by the time she starts coming out with some shit, it's not even gonna be these words anymore. I don't even know if it's gonna.
It's words that haven't even been created yet.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It's not like Skibidi was something that used to mean something else that has been reappropriated.
Yeah. These aren't even
That's
real
just
words
a made
anymore.
up fucking word.
Yeah. That's
our kids are gonna be like, oh, that was one galunky show. What the fuck?
Listen to an old guy try to come up with these words. An old Jewish guy comes up with a slang word. He comes up with a galunky. All right. Well, guys, listen. A bit too much has got that rizz. And, you know, we don't have Skibidi episodes, you know? I mean, this one might have been. I'm titling this episode Skibidi.
We'll probably do good with the kids.
Yeah. Anytime anyone our age has ever said this will do great with the kids, it fucking bombs.
No,
the
it will.
kids.
No, kids love listening to hour-long podcasts.
Hour-long podcasts from. By the way, that whole generation, we're the enemy. Visually speaking, 2 fucking like middle-aged dudes on microphones is their nightmare.
But we finally did it. They said you couldn't get a couple of white guys a podcast, and we did it.
Right, like the world's been waiting. for this. Like, you know, cancel Call Her Daddy and all the other fucking podcasts that are like doing all these numbers.
Yeah.
You know, just the world needs more mediocre white guys.
Yeah, more mediocre white guys who are very clearly not well researched.
Yeah, who are like 3 seconds before the mics turn on. Or actually sometimes the mics are already on. I don't even know it.
Yeah, and like what was the subject this week?
I don't know. I'm just drinking. I just treat this like I'm in my living room and you happen to have fucking came over. Like you just dropped something off and you just came into what I was already doing. All right, it's a bit too much podcast on all the socials. Like, comment, subscribe.
See you next time.